This could be the end of my YouTube channel. This could be the end for a lot of us. In Canada, we have this unelected governing body, the Canadian Radio and Television Commission, which decides what goes on the air. In the 1970s, they destroyed Canadian radio with one of the stupidest policies ever conceived. And now they've set their sights on the internet, and they want to destroy Canadian YouTube. The Online Streaming Act, after much public outcry and very little debate, was passed into law and just handed the CRTC a bunch of power that they don't need. Primarily the ability to legally require YouTube to promote Canadian content. Now, that sounds great on the surface, especially if you're a Canadian YouTuber. However, there's much more to it than just that. Things that most politicians haven't considered or thought through. I really wanted to go before the CRTC and address them in some kind of public meeting, much like Dee Snyder addressed the PMRC back in the 80s. If you haven't seen that video, I would highly recommend it, as there has never been a finer example of a group of politicians being completely outclassed by the person that they were targeting. Dee just didn't write a speech. He wrote an execution. He completely took the wind out of the sails in the PMRC in 5 minutes, and it was a glorious sight to behold. Dee, if you're watching this, please be aware. A lot of us who were teenagers back then took your words as inspiration and we ran with it. So thank you very much for being an example to follow. The big problem is I'm not sure if the CRT is going to have public hearings on this issue. And even if they did, I'm pretty sure they had far more important people to listen to rather than some loudmouth from Windsor who refuses to be politically correct. So instead of hoping I'll be heard by them, I'll plead my case to you, the viewer, because ultimately that's what's important to me. Here's one indisputable fact that the people running the CRTC either refuse to acknowledge or are just too dumb to realize. Nobody has ever had a hit video on YouTube by paying for it. A video that runs as an ad is doomed to fail. And this is exactly the strategy that the CRTC wants to employ. But rather than pay for an ad, they're given the power to mandate that YouTube plays Canadian videos in front of Canadians. In other words, ads without having to pay for them. Seriously, what moron came up with this idea? This is a strategy that will not win, and it's ultimately going to hurt Canadian YouTubers. The YouTube algorithm is designed to put videos in front of people that they actually want to fucking see! The CRTC's values are not aligned with what the Canadian public actually want. These men and women aren't consumers of YouTube, they're professional ass kissers. They got their jobs not because they have some intimate knowledge of how media works, they got their jobs because they know how to brown nose. What the CRTC wants to do is basically the Jared Threaten method of promotion. Anybody remember that guy? He's the guy who bought an online audience and made all of these promotional videos to put in front of promoters. And through some very clever tricks, he even managed to book himself a European tour. One problem. His online audience wasn't real and nobody came to the shows. The tour was canceled after about 3 gigs playing to empty rooms, and the entire debacle destroyed his career before it even had a chance to get started. And if YouTube is forced to put videos in front of the wrong viewers, they won't get the clicks, which will rank Canadian YouTubers lower across the entire globe. Remember that YouTube is available in other countries besides Canada, which means less recommendations on the homepage and suggested videos, and could ultimately destroy their channels, which is something the CRTC has a well-established track record of doing, destroying Canadian media. Let's look at the CRTC for what it really is. It's the world's stupidest kaiju. It's like Godzilla's dumber cousin that took the short bus to school and never had the brain power to graduate. And now that it's grown up, it's set loose and crushing everything underfoot because it can't see the Canadian creators it's trying to help because we're just too small for them to fucking notice.
Run! The CRTC.
Did you know that once upon a time, the biggest radio station in the Midwestern United States was actually a Canadian station? AM 800, CKLW in Windsor, otherwise known as the Big 8, was the biggest, most influential rock station we had ever seen. Rosalie Tremblay, the music director, helped so many artists become discovered. She's the reason you've heard of Bob Seger and Alice Cooper. She got the Guess Who's These Eyes on the air first, and even convinced Elton John to release Benny and the Jets as a single, which became a smash. Bob Seger wrote the song Rosalie as a tribute to her, and Thin Lizzy even covered it. Then some dickhead in the Canadian government decided that Canadian artists weren't being played enough and created the CRTC and gave them the power to dictate that every Canadian radio station had to play 33% Canadian content. Next thing you know, every third song was Gordon fucking Lightfoot! I get it, he wrote some great folk songs, but for a lot of us, we don't want to sit around a campfire and sing about our feelings. We want to kick out the jams, motherfuckers! So, Canadian radio died faster than Abandon All Ship's career. Now, if you just asked the question, who the fuck is that? Yeah, that's my point. And what's going on with the Big 8 these days? All news all the time, baby! Hey, great job, CRTC! Well done, you fucking morons! And here we are 50 years later with the new crop of political appointees doomed to repeat the past because they're just too stupid to learn how the system works. Because YouTube is not like traditional radio and television, which is one-way communication. YouTube is two-way, meaning anytime a Canadian clicks on a video, that is Canadian content, you stupid fucks! People all around the world click on videos by Canadian creators because they enjoy the content, not because it was forced onto the homepage by some political hack trying to justify his job. The CRT's own homepage states there are many other ways to make Canadian and Indigenous content easier to find, which could include promotional campaigns featuring content on the service's homepage. That doesn't sound like the free flow of information, that sounds like forced placement to me. And that could be a complete disaster for so many of us. Because there are so many great Canadian creators out there. Andrew Huang, Samurai Guitar, Nick Nocturnal, Cole Rowland, Steve Terryberry. And not just in the music space. If you're into travel, Downey Live makes these incredible train videos. Not Just Bikes has these amazing pieces on urban planning. And then there's Peter McKinnon. That guy is next level. I tell you, I wish I could make videos that's half as good as him. His videography is spectacular and he can really tell a great story. Me, I'm working on it, but I've got a long way to go. But if the CRTC continues down this misguided path, I think the one conversation we're all gonna have is, hey, whatever happened to Peter McKinnon? And if that's the case for him, well, the rest of us are gonna be completely fucked. It'll be like the death of CKLW all over again, but on a massive worldwide scale. So what's the solution here? Well, I'm not one to just sit around and bitch, so let me offer a different strategy to the CRTC, one where Canada can win on YouTube. And that's by giving us the resources to make better videos. The first step to that is education. Let's start by teaching audio-visual skills to Canadian kids in high school. It's not like the taxpayer is going to be on the hook for billions in AV gear. Most kids already have the most important thing they need, the smartphone. What you can do these days with a phone camera is mind-blowing. However, it's shocking just how little most kids know about video productions. Like how to hold a phone correctly for video, or basic lighting, or how to mic up a subject for a monologue. These subjects are not difficult to teach. What's more, we should be teaching basic editing and most importantly, how to tell a story with a camera. I've got 3 years of multimedia from Sheridan College under my belt, and YouTube has been my full-time job since the end of 2018, and I still struggle to tell a story with a camera. Teaching kids how to do this at a younger age will be far more productive than yet another high school English course or the 8 billionth history class on Samuel Champlain. Seriously, did I really have to learn about him in 4 different years? Fuck's sakes, we get it already! Now, if I had been able to take a course in audiovisual when I was in high school, I might not have hated it so much and might have found some value in it. As it stands now, I look back at those days as a 5-year waste of time. Now, what's more, with this sort of class, we could use it as an opportunity to teach social media ethics. What's appropriate to put on social media, what's not, and most importantly, how to deal with a situation when something you don't want on social media becomes public. So many kids have had their lives destroyed like this, and we need to teach them how to deal with negative publicity. Because I, for one, am sick and tired of reading stories about kids committing suicide over this shit. Ultimately, if you equip the Canadian public with the knowledge on how to create better content, then we will get better content. And more people clicking on the videos because they see value in those videos. The only people opening the YouTube homepage saying, hey, let's see what Canadian content's on the platform today, are the people who work for the CRTC. For the rest of humanity, it's more like hit the YouTube page, let's see what looks cool. Oh, okay, let's check that out. Good videos get the clicks no matter what country they're made in or where they come from. We've got so many amazing Canadian YouTubers already on the platform, and there's room for so many more. So I say this from the bottom of my heart to everybody at the CRTC. Don't fuck this up for us. You claim one thing, but you've given us zero reason to trust you. Your past actions speak far louder than your empty words.